Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys? Good. I apologize that we're starting about 10 minutes late, but I think we're ready to roll. So you guys have missed, well, some of you have missed our opportunity to look at technology and how much we love technology and how much sometimes we have a difficult time. Like right now, I got this to work a minute ago. It's not working now. It'll work. I'll be fine. I know where the button is. So I just wanted to let you know I'm Jamie Robinson. I have been here for an official year now. I'm the preschool through second grade specialist. Prior to that time, I was a teacher for 19 years. And so I taught anywhere from preschool through second and third grade, and that 19 years, with most of it being in kindergarten. So 5 years in preschool, probably 11 in kindergarten, and the other few in first, second, third. So just kind of to give you a little bit of my background. However, I always say that this is Sue Oakroy. She is my respected and knowledgeable predecessor. She is the one that held this position. She is the one that started this the STAR reading program. And so Sue, I want to take a minute and have you introduce yourself.
That was a good job, but I'm Sue Oakroy. So I was here doing STAR for 14 years in early childhood and enjoyed it immensely and have loved working with Jamie on this. So just welcome. We're glad to have you here today.
So how many of you are familiar with the STAR program? Okay. There are certain components of the STAR program that are still included in this Partners in Dyad, but you will notice that the first 15-minute section is very different. Okay, so I just wanted to, that's why we are having you here and to come to this training, so that you'll be able to train the tutors that you need to in the new program. So some of you may not have a partner. At some point during the day, you're going to need to find one. So for any of you guys that are coming in, you're welcome to sit back there, or we have this whole space over here. And then there's a sign-up sheet over here on your right. So during the break, make sure you guys get signed up so you get credit, okay? I spoke too soon, people. The whole thing is froze except for this right here. We're going to stop sharing for just a second so I can see that they are all on there. Now we are here, and now we are there. All right, except for if I'm not sharing it, then they can't see it. So this could be problematic, but we'll figure it out.
It really helps us be more secure, knowing that you are there.
Thank you. Okay, it'll work now. It froze for a minute. So today's learning objectives, I want to make sure you guys have an opportunity to go through the manual, know where things are at in the manual, the layout of the manual. The second thing that we're going to learn is the Dyad reading procedures and processes. And then the third thing we'll talk about is the supplemental literacy components, including next steps. So for those of you that have done the STAR program before and you've talked about the early steps and next steps, it's still in there. Okay? Yay, it's working. All right. So I wanted to let you know the restrooms are located right outside this door, just north of the elevators. If they happen to be cleaning during our break, the bathrooms are in the same location on every floor. So you can hop on the elevator, go upstairs, downstairs, doesn't matter. In the red folders, which we'll talk about in a second, there will be an index card. Those index cards are for you to write down any questions that you may have. I am actually okay if you want to add any information for those of you that have been tutoring for a while or that have been in schools. If you find something that works and you want to share it with everybody, I'm all about you interrupting me and sharing what you want to. But if you have specific questions that we might be answering at some point, I will have slides throughout where you can answer those or ask those questions. So I just wanted to let you know those are in your red folder. And then there are vending and pop machines downstairs in the basement, right outside the elevators actually. So if you guys need a pick-me-up, that is where you will find the vending machines. Ryan, would you mind shutting the doors?
I was just about to.
is when I touch that speaker room. Have you guys noticed that? That is very weird.
I'm gonna go see if I can get you another clicker.
I don't even think it's the clicker though. I think it's the way that it's. So if we stop sharing, right? And then we have to go back into it, right? Because our remote friends can't see us if we don't share it. Anyway, so we're not gonna move anything else on there. We'll leave that little stuff down at the bottom. So just so I've already explained to you, but we do have some friends that are participating remotely. Brian Christensen has probably been the one that's emailed a lot of you the reminders about this course and what we're doing, but he will be managing the computer over there in the corner. So any questions that we have from Beaver and from Iron, he will be able to read to us, or if they have any questions, anything that they want to add, they can do so in the chat box. And then we've already talked about who has used STAR before. Good morning, you're fine. There's sign up sheets there, you can sign them in now or during break if you want. And then let's take a short minute and go around the room and just introduce yourselves, like where you're from, what your position is. I should say which district area you're from, right? And then what your role is in that district and your favorite Halloween candy. All right. Jada, we'll start with you.
Okay. Hello, I'm Jada Van Sulen. I'm a student at SLCC, or Salt Lake Community College. I work with AmeriCorps, and I am a reading tutor with the YMCA Community Center children. And my favorite Halloween candy is probably Snickers.
Perfect.
Hi everyone, my name is Sam Collins. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I work at Salt Lake Community College as the Service Leadership Coordinator, so I coordinate the America Reads program. We have Jada and Anna here with us today. And so we have students who work at Esperanza Elementary, the YMCA, South Kearns and West Kearns Elementary as well. And my favorite Halloween candy is York Peppermint Patties.
My name's Anna Reynaga, and I'm a student at Salt Lake Community College. And I tutor, so I'm with America Reads, and I tutor at Esperanza Elementary. And my favorite candy, Halloween candy, would be Recess.
Perfect.
I'm Faith Havoc. I oversee the Title I program at Dixie Montessori Academy in Washington, Utah. And my favorite candy is Twix.
Hi, I'm Angie Magnavito. I work at Ascent Academy, at the West Valley campus. I'm the special education teacher lead. I have worked with students from pre-K to 8th grade. And my favorite candy would be red licorice. I'm Allison White. I'm from Ascent Academy as well, special education director. And my favorite Halloween candy, I know this is not gonna be popular, candy corn. I can only have a few though, 2 at a time.
Yeah, my name is Eric Willis. I work for Ascent Academy down in Lehigh, the middle school. And I like See's candy in general during any holidays.
Perfect.
I'm Tiffany Roberts, Special Education Team Lead for Ascent Academies over at West Jordan. And my favorite Halloween candy, I guess, is anything chocolate.
I'm Sue Swenson. I'm at Summit Academy in Draper Elementary School, Special Ed Support Services.
Perfect.
I love all candy too.
Right.
Gail Peterson, I am the special education coordinator for our elementary schools at Summit Academy. We have a couple of campuses, and I like Snickers.
Melanie Coons, I'm also at Summit Academy, and I'm an instructional coach, K2. And I love Junior Mints, and they come in Halloween orange now.
Janine Watson, Summit Academy Bluffdale campus. I teach first grade.
Perfect.
Sherry Beal, I'm gonna break the pattern.
Liberty Elementary in Murray District. I'm an instructional coach there and I'm a Snickers fan too.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yep, we're ready.
I'm Joyce Jensen and I'm at Walden Academy and I'm working special ed K through 10th.
Perfect.
And I'm Rachel Nielsen, I'm at Walden School as well. And I guess today I'm the literacy director, and my favorite candy happens to be almond joy.
All right.
I'm Susie Scherer, the director at the Ranches Academy. It's a K-6 elementary charter school. And my favorite candy are the little orange pumpkins that are similar to candy corns.
Perfect.
I'm Jenny Tillotson. I'm the reading specialist at the Ranches Academy. And my favorite treat is probably Reese's peanut butter cups.
Perfect.
I am Lisa Burrell. I'm at the Central Utah Academy, which is the prison, and I do beginning reading there. And my favorite candy is probably Twix.
Perfect.
I'm Andy Peterson. I'm also at Central Utah Academy. Do social studies, art, and some admin. Really junior minutes also.
All right. Do we want, Iron, do you want to share with us who you have in the room with you? I will unmute you. Or you can unmute yourself because so if anybody in Iron District or Lorraine, if Brown, if you want to talk about anything, if you want to put it in the chat box, and when Brian gets back, I'll make sure they have proper introductions for you guys as well. So that's what I was doing. Please know I was making fun of you guys. All right. So there are two types of teachers when Halloween falls on Sunday, right? How many of you are the ones that get dressed up and are ready every time those kids walk in the door? And who are the rest of you that go, All right? Because there are the two. So how many do we have that fall in this category? Perfect. And how many do we have that fall in this category? And how many are undecided?
I'm in between.
Depends on the mood, right? What's no, it keeps getting stuck because it's fine now.
Oh, it's fine.
It's fine now.
No problem.
Yes.
Well, we have spares.
Okay, good. And then Iron and Beaver might be typing in the chat box for introductions. Okay. All right. So if you guys would like to take a second to look at your red folders. In your red folder, you will notice on the left-hand side you have a lot of informational sheets. In the center, you will find your next steps materials. And on the right-hand side, you will have copies of the documents, kind of like your black line masters. So you guys can go back and make as many copies as you need to. You will also notice that on your table you have Post-it notes. Those Post-it notes are for whatever you deem important that you want to mark your book up with. But a lot of times, a lot of people put Post-it notes on those same black lines that are on the right-hand side of your folder. So whatever works best for you guys. You should all have a Partners in Dyad reading manual and a Building Readers parent guide. And then we will have early steps and next steps materials for you when you leave. Please know that we have one per site. So if you came together like 4 people from the same district, you'll get one, or per school, right? You'll get one per site, okay? So, do you have anything missing or incorrect? Okay. Also know that for some of you, you're gonna have, you will probably need extra copies of the manuals. If that is the case, will you please let Brian know? They were on order, but there was a problem with the printing company and they did not arrive by today. So we do not necessarily have a whole lot of extras at this point, but we have 800 on the way. So when you guys, if you need extra copies, please let Brian know. He might even be able to have a piece of paper.
This meeting is being recorded.
You may have a piece of paper that goes around that lets you guys write on there how many you'll need for each different side as well. Okay, so we kind of did this in a whole group, but I do want you to take just a couple of seconds and just talk to the person next to you, because that person next to you will be your partner for a lot of this training. If you don't have anybody next to you, which I know I'm like two, and you. So if somebody walks in, we will direct them to sit next to you. If not, there's Sue or I or Brian that will be your partner at any given moment. Okay?
You're nice.
Or
Good.
if you don't like any of us, you're welcome to join your friends next to you. They probably won't bite. Right, guys?
That's right.
All right. She likes, yeah, they like Halloween, so you're good. All right. Can I please get somebody to volunteer to read this paragraph on page 7? Perfect.
The purpose of Partners in Dyad Reading is to provide primary grade students reading below grade level with additional reading practice. Students participating in Partners of Dyad Reading meet with an adult volunteer or paraprofessional who is trained to provide them with a series of targeted lessons. The lessons enhance primary reading instruction offered by classroom teachers and support the following research-based components of reading: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. These components are reinforced as students receive scaffold reading in an appropriately challenging text. For Partners in Dyad Reading, students in first grade, the text should be at their current reading level with a range of 50 lexiles above and 100 lexiles below. For Partners in Dyad Reading, students in grade 2 and up, the text should be 2 to 3 years above their current reading level. Research has shown that when students in second grade and up are put into challenging text and provided scaffolding, their reading performance grows more rapidly than when placed in instructional level text.
Okay. What catches your eye in that paragraph?
Challenging students, we're putting them, our kids that have a challenging time in reading, we're having them read 2 to 3 grades above, 2 to 3 years above their current reading level. That's a big change from.
I find in special education, we kind of look at their instructional level, and we want to put students in where they're comfortable reading. And again, they should be in their grade level material because they're being challenged. And so that exactly what you're saying here, you want that challenging reading material versus where they're most comfortable.
What they have found, and we'll talk about some of the research, with Washington County, they did a pilot program with them, and there have been others, but that was just the one last year. What they have found is that if you can do 2 to 3 grade levels above and you scaffold that, so as an adult or as a tutor, you know when you need to speed up this reading process or slow down the reading process. You as an adult know what words they are understanding and not understanding. You can ask those comprehension questions. So they're being challenged and they're given a richer vocabulary, they're given more words, and the progress when we get to that slide is pretty amazing. So, hold on, are you guys ready? So, this is on page 8. It's just the responsibilities of the coordinator. There are lots of responsibilities you can see, but can somebody volunteer to read responsibilities of a coordinator? Perfect. You're next, so be ready.
Responsibilities of Partners in Dyad Reading Program participants. Partners in Dyad Reading supports students who are reading below grade level by involving an entire team, including the USBE local school districts, elementary school principals, classroom teachers, trained volunteer tutors, school support staff, and parents.
Perfect, and do you want to jump down to this very bottom one? Where it talks about the responsibilities of the school or the Dyad Reading Coordinator? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Responsibilities of the school Partners in Dyad Reading Coordinator. I need scaffolding. That's why I'm here. 10 additional Partners in Dyad Reading training provided by the Utah State Board of Education conducted Partners in Dyad reading program overview for school faculty and staff, secure and manage tutoring materials, recruit and oversee volunteer tutors, train volunteer tutors, coordinate Partners in Dyad reading services among classroom teachers, tutors, and students, including pairing students with tutors and scheduling tutoring times.
Right. You wanna make sure, like, if you have a student, right, and you've paired them with a tutor, and you can tell there's a personality conflict, give them to somebody else, right? So, but I just wanted to let you know, like, a lot of your responsibilities are on here, but a lot of you that are in here are working in kind of that coordinator position. Some of you are also just or shouldn't say just tutors, I did not mean that. But some of you are the tutors, but I just wanted to let you know kind of what the coordinator position was. And then you wanna make sure that as that coordinator, you inform the school and staff that you have this program running in your area. If you don't let them know that you have a place for these struggling readers to go, they won't utilize you. So I just wanted to make sure we touched on that. Have any of you had a lot of success of where to find your volunteers?
So, Kristen, we have a lot of volunteers available, but they're typically older. And I'm wondering about, because I think you model what an effective tutor should be. I'm wondering about maybe someone, maybe I'm an ageist, I apologize, who's maybe 70 years old and very set in how reading tutoring should happen and retraining a little bit.
Right.
That's one question I have.
Okay. We do have some videos that you will also have access to that you can show them that might let them see what it looks like. It is with a child, so I apologize. I do have some funding. I just barely asked for it, but I have a little amount of funding that I can go out and run some videos this year. So if any of you are willing to volunteer and have me come out and video, please let me know. You will have my contact information. But I really think that that would help, especially in your circumstances. I know sometimes a lot of people they know what it's like. And so the thing that I really like about the Dyad reading is it's paired reading. It's sitting side by side and it's actually reading with them. And so you'll look at it in a minute and see if it's gonna be more difficult or not. Identifying students. There is this teacher recommendation form. This teacher recommendation form will let you know the student's Lexile level. And that Lexile level is where you'll determine the 2 grade levels above for 2nd grade and up. Okay, you can use this Dyad reading with 1st graders, but you're not going to do anything above grade level text. With your struggling kindergartners, I do have some other resources for you that are later on in this presentation.
But when
Yes.
you say you won't do anything above grade level text, you mean only be on their exact level? Or would you ever because I've done paired reading, which is similar to Dyad, but with students, 2 students in 3rd grade. And you have text that was above the lowest, the high reader read the text on their level, not the low reader.
Right.
So for 1st grade, if you had kids as low as a level A or C, and then you have kids as high as an I or a J, starting a 2nd grade level. Is it their level that you have
It's
them read
their
on?
grade level. So what I'm saying, so what you're saying, if you have somebody that's an I or J, you can match them with your A and Bs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that same effect, but in 1st grade, they're learning how to read.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't wanna push them
Too hard,
too hard.
because they're still learning one-to-one correspondence and
Right.
just how to
Right.
decode words, so.
And then a lot of teachers that have run this program, they look at their Lexile levels. And in those Lexile, so in a classroom, if you have 3rd graders, right? So you'll take their Lexile levels, and you can do this in the classroom yourselves, but it's not with a tutor. So they do have Dyad training, and this is Partners in Dyad because we have an adult tutor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of different because they
Yeah.
can scaffold even more. But in a classroom, you would look at their Lexile levels, and you would take, if you had 30 kids, you take 1 through 15, then you would take 16 through 30.
Yeah.
And you'd match 1 with 16. Does that make sense?
But would you have them read it like I said, if you have a range from level A to level I or J of students, when you match them up, is that okay to put a J with maybe a F or G?
It is.
Something like that? Okay.
Yep. You can. Just within their grade level, okay? And then scheduling tutor sessions. Each session is run usually in 30 minutes. We have 15 minutes for the dyad part and 15 minutes for the supplemental reading part. A lot of people have asked me, if you only have 15 minutes, which part would you pick? A majority of the time I will tell you dyad. You, however, know your students more than I do, right? And if you know a student needs that supplementary before they can, or they're gonna keep struggling, you might wanna vary that a little bit for your setting, okay? But I would most often recommend that you do the dyad reading. So there's also there's a glossary of terms, and that's just to make sure that everybody is on the same page as you're reading through the manual. And you talk about like what is independent reading, what's onset and rhyme. Here's a glossary of terms. And then for the legal responsibilities, you will find them on 17 and 18. And I have 5 volunteers read 1 through 5.
Accidents. Do not treat a child in P. She has an accident. Do not try to stop bleeding in non-emergency situations. Report the accident to the teacher who has been trained and has the equipment to deal with such situations. Volunteers are not trained to deal with AIDS, HIV, or other communicable diseases.
One of my favorite nurses of all time, when you have to do like your bloodborne pathogens every year, right? She just had this mantra and she had us repeat it with her over and over. If it's wet, warm, and not yours, don't touch it. So I just have to pass it on every time I hear you talk about accidents. Okay, number 2.
Attitude. Maintain a professional attitude while tutoring. Never initiate a physically close situation. If a child hugs you, be sure to respond, but only if the child initiates the action and you are in an open area observed by others.
And I understand why, right? You know who we work with, okay? What about 3?
Child abuse. Contact the principal if you suspect a child is being physically abused or sexually molested. The person who suspects the abuse does the reporting. It is a federal law to report child abuse. If you do not report, you are considered as guilty as the perpetrator and will be so treated.
Perfect. Number 4.
Confidentiality. Keep confidential all information about personal or family issues. With volunteers, do not repeat private family matters. Share the student's progress only with the child's teacher and parents, and do so with your student's knowledge. Be certain that sharing information is a positive experience.
Okay. And number 5. Thank you.
All tutoring is to be conducted during school under the direction of the partners in dyad, reading coordinator, classroom teachers, and school administrator. By following this rule, tutors are covered by school insurance. Never tutor in a closed area. Keep doors open, tutor in open spaces such as the designated tutor center. Keep all actions public and open to observation.
Perfect. All right. So you will also find on 19 and 20, there's some suggested materials. You'll want to make sure that each student has their own folder. You'll find out why when we get to the supplemental literacy part of the different, like in your red folder, you have all those black lines. You're going to be making copies of those and putting them in the students' individual folders. So that's why you want them to each have a folder. That's where you can put their books, their reading levels. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that, but here are the materials for that. Here are kind of the materials that should be in the room. One thing that I would suggest is to make sure your tutors have a calendar of the days that you will or will not be in session. It's really hard when a tutor shows up and they don't know that it's a holiday, right? And then they get kind of sad. So make sure they have a school calendar. Do you guys have any questions so far? Yes.
A couple bullets with the OPED. Is there maybe a website where it has maybe Sam ran the dog kind of stuff?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So there is a Lexile level, and it will specifically tell you put the title of the book in there, and it gives you the Lexile level that comes out. And so I will make sure to get that for you on break. I was gonna say I don't wanna give you the wrong website, so let me make sure I get that to you. Yeah. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is take a couple of minutes and you can write down wherever you want or just in your heads. Think about how and where you will set this up in your school or program, and also how you will monitor student progress. Can you do me a favor? Would you come sit up here for me? She needs a partner.
Like, you got me too, like.
That's what I'm wondering is something that we want us to set up with.
Yeah,
like, have our parents or
I think so. It might take a while.
The teachers, I'm assuming that you pull out.
You haven't had it started.
Well, I've had people.
There she is.
Yeah.
Did you start?
Hi.
Finally made it. She gave us, we already started. Our, she asked some questions. She kind of gave an
How do you
overview.
measure like your progress?
How are you seeing the star?
I don't know yet.
We're always this for nations like for intervention is for our initial students get this data.
So I've been talking a little bit, but nothing for no questions.
Brian, nothing's in the chat box.
Oh, how
Just
tiny.
their introductions, but
How do you do that when we started?
But it gives us an idea, something to show us, we're making progress. And I got three. I just can't move.
Come back in 10.
I don't know what's the deal.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1. You guys ready?
There was a couple.
I apparently am not loud enough. Are you guys ready to get started again?
Yes.
Okay. Brian, would you mind doing introductions for us, for our friends that are online?
Yeah, so of course we have a number of listeners in Iron County, and they all like candy.
Well, okay.
Now, where is the candy good?
Candy's a bonus. Okay, got it.
And we also have Raquel Marshall and Michelle Edwards here for the training, and they're just excited to learn. So they're happy to join us as well.
And then we do have a couple people that just joined us. Would you mind introducing yourself and where you're from?
My name is Rebecca Adamson, and I'm the admin director at the YMCA Community Family Center.
Perfect.
I'm Wendy Lemon, and I run what was formerly known as Star Tutoring at Reading Elementary in Farmington. I'm sorry, Centerville. Farmington, right there on the border.
Right in that area, huh? And we have one more in the back. Perfect. Perfect. Well, we're happy to have you guys all here. It's a pretty nice room, pretty good group going on. So I always thought that this was funny, so I thought I would share it with you. Because being in this profession alone, how many hours do you volunteer? So, all right. So now we're gonna get to the Dyad reading part of it. The Dyad reading part, here's like a note, like once a student signs up, here's a letter you can give to the student if you would like. Here's also a note for the tutor. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is when you're pulling students out for tutoring sessions, try to make sure you're scheduling it so you're not pulling them during or literacy or math time, right? But also that you're not pulling them during recess. If you're pulling students during recess, are they going to enjoy reading with you? No, right? So please be aware while you're pulling them or scheduling tutoring sessions to be aware of those things. Of course, the more positive the tutors can be, the better performance the students will have as well. So taking time, what I would recommend is like that very first session, I wouldn't start reading. I would start building a rapport with the students, talking to them about what they like, what they don't like. My experience has always been is once you build a rapport with students, they're willing to go with you. If they don't like you, or if they know you don't like them, or if they don't feel like they can be themselves around you, they won't perform. So it's just kind of my experience. So as you can tell, we have the 15 minutes for the dyad where it talks about the steps. The next is a literacy supplemental lesson plan. So they're each the 15-minute sessions. Here is also a lesson plan for you. So you can write down the specific dates as the students are coming in. This is copied in your red folder, front and back, so you can get about a month's worth. If you're setting up 2 to 3 15-minute sessions per month for each student's folder. So here is a video of dyad reading. I want you to kind of pay attention to what you notice, and we'll talk about it when we're done. So we'll talk about just kind of what you saw. We'll probably watch about 2 minutes of this, and then we'll talk about that. And hopefully you can all hear it because we did hook up a speaker.
Katie sat on a small balcony of apartment 2A, looking down over the front sidewalk. There was no yard except for a narrow strip of grass between the parking lot and the street. Nowhere to play. Her mother had been concerned. Is that what? Concerned? Concerned. Let's read it. That sounds good. Her mother had been concerned about that, for though there was a park 2 blocks away, she did not want Katie to go there alone. Why do you think she'd be concerned? I don't know, it didn't tell us yet. It just said she'd be wondering if they were keep going. So, for the moment, she sat on the balcony, looking through the iron bars that formed the sides of it, and watched the activity in the street. Katie had always lived in the country. Katie had always lived in the country, and she liked that. It seemed interesting, however, and it was a nice street. It was wide and shaded with big trees, and most of the time there wasn't a lot of traffic, except when people were going to work, of course, the way they were now. She saw Mrs. Katzenberger. Say that with me. Katzenberger. One more time. Katzenberger. Let's read that sentence. She saw Miss Katzenberger emerge from the front door below and head toward the street. Katie had not read, but she knew who she was. She'd seen which apartment she went into. 3B, 1 floor up.
Okay, what have you guys noticed so far?
It's cool.
It's coral, thank you. It was probably as hard for you guys to hear in the back, I apologize.
When there was a tough word, they'd repeat it and then also repeat the sentence that it was in.
Okay. What else?
Kind of a moderate kind of pace. It wasn't too fast. It wasn't too slow.
All right, so I wanted to kind of give you a visual of what we're going to be talking about. So now you somewhat have a visual. And
Question.
yes,
They're reading from the same book.
yes,
I like that they're reading from the same book.
me too. So hold on half a second. I didn't think there would be a problem with the sharing. Maybe you just didn't like the fact that I took a break. Okay. Now we'll go back to sharing this with them again. Hopefully. Okay, so in your books, you will also notice that you have this chart. So many people will ask, we started this training in August, and so many people didn't know where to start. You wanna look at their DIBELS testing / Cadence reading testing scores. At the beginning of the year, you wanted to look at their spring from the previous year, but right now you guys probably already have fall results, correct? So you already have their beginning of the year results. So you'd like to look at their beginning of the year results, which will give you their Lexile levels.
Except for first grade, it won't.
What was it won't pull first?
Because we don't do dwarf until like the end of the year.
You're right. So, which is another reason why first is on instructional reading level, right?
Yeah.
So this will give you their Lexile level. And then it will let you know if you're gonna go, you'll be able to go 2 grade levels ahead. So say for instance, without even looking at the grades that they're in, if you have a student that is in the 5th grade whose Lexile level is 650, what grade level of text are you gonna start them reading in?
So grade 4, like the Q.
Okay. And if I were to try another one, if you have somebody that is struggling and they're reading at 270 in the Lexile, what grade level of text are you going to start reading with them?
First.
Maybe like the end of first grade or like an I or, is that, sorry.
Yes. So now here's a trick question, which I'll tell you beforehand, right? I already see your eyebrows, I know where you're going. So if you have a 5th grade student who has a Lexile level of 230, where will you start them? What grade level reading?
3rd grade.
Grade 3, why?
It's gonna be more appropriate on the content. Like
Right.
it's hard to find reading materials for like that age group at that level that they would be interested in and
So this program is for struggling readers, correct?
Yeah.
If they are in 1st grade, you want to keep them on 1st grade level. If they are in 5th grade and their Lexile level is within the 1st grade range, you still want to bump them up 2 years. Okay, so that's why you'd be on a grade 3. You guys okay? Okay. So this was Washington County, the pilot, the results that they had from last year. You can see that they had 8 teachers, there was 1 split class. There was a 1st grade, 3 3rd grades, 2 4th grades, 3 5th grade, including 1 special education class. So what you look at is the average Lexile gains in a year. Your 2nd graders made 442 Lexile gains. Your 3rd graders, 367. 4th grade, 469. 5th grade, 117. With an overall average of 333 Lexiles. So, and that's just last year's study. There are more studies that are out there. But this is where we are noticing the difference, that the text difficulty is the critical level. That's the sweet spot, that's the leverage. Yes.
What if someone is already an advanced reader? How could the system benefit them, or is it really not necessarily designed for them?
You don't necessarily have to do anything with your, like, Dyad reading is usually set for your struggling readers, but they have found those students that are those students that are at the top of your class are reading at their grade level usually, or if you're doing it within a class, not within a tutoring system, right? But if you're doing it as a class, your top reader reading to the student that's below them, their levels actually increase too, because they're having to ask the comprehension questions, they're having to slow it down, they're having to be cognizant of somebody else's reading level, which actually they've seen gains in their reading levels as well. So, okay. All right.
Sorry, can I just ask a question? I
Yes.
wondered what they use to determine how their Lexile growth. What?
Acadians reading.
So they just type that too?
Yeah. Yep. So your Acadians reading, formerly known as DIBELS, right?
Yeah.
Should give you your Lexile levels. So they were able to look at their spring the year before and had them start, and then what their end of levels were to get that gain. And notice where they were at. All right, so I wanted to let you know within your manual, you'll notice when we start getting to the activities, there's like 1 through 6. All of them kind of have the same format. You'll talk about materials, activity, some of them will have a tip, and some of them will ask you to record. So as we kind of work through these, just know that that's the basic format. So you'll notice I kind of number 1 is like revisit the book you're at. Most of you in here understand how to revisit a book. Remember when we read the book yesterday, what were we talking about? Who were the main characters? What were they doing, right? New book introduction, you're only gonna take like 1 to 2 minutes. Possibly look at the cover, so it will tell you the new book with the appropriate level of challenge. So you introduce the new book, here's your tips, and then you check off the new book introduction on the Partners in Dyad reading lesson plan. Okay? So here's the nitty-gritty. In your Partners in Dyad, so this is page 31, you will spend 11 to 14 minutes doing the Dyad reading part. You will need a new book, but the activities are, can somebody read the activities for me? I just think you guys probably get tired of listening to me, so Jada, would you mind reading the activities for me?
Activity 1. The tutor and student read the new book aloud using the Dyad reading rules. 2. During reading, the tutor stops to ask the student comprehension questions about what has been read and explains unknown vocabulary. For narrative text, the tutor may use the story face graphic to ask questions about the text. For informational text, use the information text comprehension questions as a guide. 3. The tutor records where to pick up next time in the book, if needed, on the Partners in Dyad reading lesson plan.
Okay, so that is the simple activity that you're going to do. The rules are where it gets fun, right? So you're going to share 1 book. You guys saw that in that first video, right? That little glimpse. There's 1 book, you're sitting side by side. Usually as a tutor, you're sitting a little bit further back, so the student is closer to the book than you are. Okay, so usually as a tutor, you're sitting a little bit further back, but still side by side with the student. You're going to track, and the lead reader, who is the tutor in most of these sessions, tracks the words with 1 smooth finger. It is not, it is this. Okay, so we read aloud together. Keep the eyes on the words. Don't read too fast or too slow. Talk about the unknown words and have fun. Really, that's what you're doing. It's that scaffolding as a tutor that makes the text difficulty manageable for your students that are struggling. So keep that in mind, okay? So there's just a quote that talks about like paired oral reading is arguably one of the easiest and most cost-effective methods of developing children's fluency. And I'm probably thinking that was fluency, so I apologize. So I want you guys to take a second and write down any questions that you may have before we get into the practice of it and watch another video. So I'll give you like 1 minute to write down any other questions you have. We have people joining. I know where you're at. Okay, it sounds like most of you are ready, so we'll go ahead and get started, but this story face chart is for, this is your general reading questions, right? It's like the word's not coming to me. Your narrative reading. So these are your basic questions that you can ask. Some people are visual and they like the infographic type stuff. Some people like to have it And you have tutors that have different learning styles, right? So that's why I provided both of these. This narrative text comprehension is in your, Jade, I'm gonna borrow yours, I'm sorry. It is in this building readers, okay? There's also, but when you start to see that type of blue and turquoise, you'll know that those are from this manual, okay? So I would probably have both of them printed off for your tutors. So it's just a visual reminder for them to make sure they're asking questions as they're going. This is for your informative text, your informational comprehension. You'll notice you always want to start in the middle. And then depending on the kind of informational text you're reading, will guide you to whether you're heading to this side or whether you're heading to this side to ask the questions, okay? Any questions on that part?
What, repeat that?
Yes. So you want to start in the middle to talk about the topic and the main idea. And if it's more of a reading informational text, you'll do on the blue side. If you have more to do with charts and graphics, you'll do more on the yellow side.
How is this reading comprehension measured? Where is the data put into, is there a database? Is there any kind of formal correct, incorrect?
There is not. It is just a matter of you asking the comprehension questions to see if the students are understanding it as you go. Most of this stuff, remember that we are there to support what is happening in the classroom and to improve the reading levels of the students in the classroom. So mainly your classroom teachers should be keeping more information on that comprehension. I am currently working with our department, and I will ask Brian to send this out to all of you, but there will be a form that I will be asking you all to fill out. We'll talk about I'll ask for their Acadian scores, but I also want to know if the students that were in there, if you'll just put their SSID numbers, but those students, if they were doing a 15-minute session or a 30-minute session and how many times a week, so we can really hone in to see what is working with most of our students. And I want to make sure that we're getting the gains that we need. What we've seen is that we are getting the gains, but I want to make sure that we're continuing to get those gains before we injure students, right? Not that we injure students, but whatever we can do to get those gains is what we want to see.
So kindergarten and first grade, do you just want their composites? Since we don't have a Lexile score for them, do you just want their composite scores?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be perfect. Okay, so once again, this is just the written down comprehension questions. And then this is just strategies for good readers and what good readers use, which is also in that book. So once again, this is just the procedure. There are your rules. So now we're going to take a moment. Just remember that you need to try, like the biggest thing that they've seen with leverage and the thing that does work is finding that sweet spot of 2 to 3 grade levels above their current reading level. Okay? So now we're going to take a second to watch this video. And it is 13 minutes long. So I'm going to pull my chair over here. But the reason and this is from Granite School District. I wanted to let you guys know, like if you go on YouTube and you type in Granite School District, and this is where I was thinking it might work down in the prison, where you have a video that also talks about all the components at the same time.
Reading aloud to children has been called the single most important activity for building the knowledge required for success.
Okay, we're gonna hold on because I can't get it to go full screen on here.
Single most important.
And I forgot to share it first, so hold on just one more second.
An activity for building the knowledge required for success in reading. Reading aloud with talk about the characters, where the story takes place, what problems the characters are having, and predicting what will happen next in the story will aid the child's understanding of story structure and comprehension. Children who are exposed to reading aloud hear new words, learn about the world, learn about written language, and see the connection between words that are spoken and words that are written. When reading aloud with your children, use these tactics to enhance their comprehension. First, discuss the child's instructional reading level with his or her classroom teacher. Read at least 3 times per week or more for approximately 30 minutes each session. Use grade level text for first grade students. For students in 2nd through 6th grade, use reading material about 2 grade levels above the student's current level. Sit side by side with the child slightly in front of you.
That's all I heard as I came down from my room this morning.
Read with your child at the same time. Use 2 voices.
Over the sudden disappearance of some of the residents of Mob Village.
The adult reader's voice should be a little faster and a little louder than the student's.
Their relatives in other biomes.
Use your finger to track reading beneath the text.
I'm going to get that monster
Make sure you keep your eyes on the words.
of her yard and bring it over here. All of a sudden,
Not too fast, not too slow. For only a few minutes each session, the adult reader should read at almost his or her normal pace while the student is pulled to higher rates of speed.
you that the sight of this costume has been known to cause convulsions, memory loss, and temporary blindness, the security guard said. So did you not know that word? No. Convulsions, okay.
Write down any unknown words and talk about them using student-friendly descriptions.
After school today, my mom took me, my little brother, to get our Halloween costumes.
Occasionally during each session, the fluent reader should lower the volume of his or her voice to allow the student to lead the reading. And most importantly, have fun. This is an experience that benefits the both of you.
That is usually all I show, so I put the 13-minute video in here instead of the 3-minute one.
Well, this one's in Spanish.
Reading aloud to children has been called the single most important activity for building.
Okay, what was your question?
Is this available that I could send this to my tutors?
Yes.
That they could?
Just type in Dyad reading loop on YouTube and look for the 13-minute video, right?
Actually, I downloaded the 13-minute video, but the 3-minute one is just fine.
The 3-1, yeah. So there's one from Granite that's 3-minute, or there's one from Armstrong Academy. Is there one? That's not school district. Yeah.
Okay, do you guys have any questions before you start practicing with your partners? Yes.
So I'm gonna be training tutors on how to do this.
Yes.
Do you have electronic versions of these materials, like the, how can I put it, the tracking sheets and whatnot, so that I could print them out and maybe make manuals and things like that?
You can contact Brian, and Brian will give you any of the he'll send you to you in a slide. I am also trying to get everything updated on the website, so you guys can go to the website itself. It is also in your book. It'll talk about the Dyad reading. There are some of the video links that are no longer working, and I've still been working on contacting them and getting them set up again. Just know that when it comes to the early steps or the next steps, you may go to the University of Utah site and see the videos there as well.
Does this program do any rereading or repeated reading where you read the same book again? Or is it just one time through and then ask comprehension questions?
It's typically just one time through and ask comprehension questions as you go. You guys notice when she got to the word convulsion, she wrote it down and she's like, we'll talk about that later. What I've seen that is more effective is they talk about the word right then they go back and they reread the sentence. which is why I wanted to show you that first video, because they did a lot of that. So there are certain things in the video that I've picked out that, but if you're showing the Granite video to most people, they will understand, hey, guess what? I just noticed that I don't have my online people sharing anymore, so let me find them. I'm like, hey, I'm no longer in the meeting. So, I was like, that's a problem. So I personally would go back and reread that sentence with them after you talk about the comprehension. Can you see that? Do you want to join the same meeting? Yes, I really do.
Let me see if they're saying what happened.
Okay, I'm back. So hopefully we're good. Yeah, that's awesome. They're just not showing up on my bar at the bottom. They're still there. If I'm not sharing my screen with them, they can't see our PowerPoint, and that's my problem. There we go. Sorry, guys, 1 second. It's actually the point where you guys are supposed to practice the dyad reading with each other. So while I figure out my technology problem, if you will work with the partner next to you, and if you will each take, I know the books are small, that is the other thing that's on my list, is to get chapter books. So that, but I want you guys to each take at least 3 minutes. So you'll have like and then we'll also take a 15-minute break after that. So we won't come back in this room or start again until about 10:45. So take some time to get familiar with the print, or to get familiar with the process. Take a break and we'll come back at 10:45. Okay, are you guys ready to get started? How are we feeling about the dyad part? Pretty good? All right, because now we're gonna jump to the literacy supplemental. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the kindergarten through first resources that you have available. Well, I shouldn't say that you have available, but that are available. There is a program called K-Pals. Brian doesn't know this yet, but like late last night, about 11 o'clock, I asked him to go get me a copy. He probably hasn't seen that email yet. So we're gonna forgive Brian for that. But that's what this is over on the left-hand side. It's the K-Pals. Some of you may or may not be aware of that. If you want, we'll go down and grab a copy so you can look more at it. See, look, Brian's ready. And
Okay, where do we find this, K-Pals?
well, Brian's gonna go grab some copies and he's gonna see how many are down there. We may have some extras that I might say here. I'm not sure though, so that's what we're double checking on. So, but K-Pals is something, I looked it up online last night as well, and it is available. So K-Pals is something they use for kindergarten in particular, but then there's also the Haggerty Phonemic Awareness. And some of you have this in your schools and are seeing some great progress. Does anybody have any questions on Haggerty? It's about $95. And a lot of people, the feedback I've gotten is a lot of people really, really like it. So those are your K through 1 resources that you guys can use. All right. Just remember, perceptions can be very deceiving sometimes, so I just wanted to let you know. So don't be afraid, it's going to be fun. Hang in there with me and we'll get there. Okay, so now we're gonna start talking about the second part of your lesson plan, which is the supplemental literacy components. The first part of that is high frequency words. Do I have someone that will read the activities?
Student reads the words in the first column on list number. Tutor marks missed words. Goal 95% accuracy, 1 minute timing, no more than 5 words missed in 100. 2. Tutor writes 1 or 2 missed high frequency words on 3x5 index cards and practices them with the student. Tutor keeps the high frequency word cards with the word bank cards in the student's folder. 3. Tutor chooses one of the following high frequency word activities daily, time permitting. Tutor picks 1 or 2 of the missed high frequency words from the column, Tutor asks the student to read each word, write it, and spell it aloud 5 times. Student mixes up letter tiles and practices spelling 1 or 2 missed words 5 times. Tutor asks the student to write and say the missed words correctly as many times as possible in 1 minute.
Okay, so when Sue was here, she had some awesome videos made. Those videos, I will show you what this kind of looks like. I want you to realize that in that, see right here, it says tutor chooses one of the following high frequencies. That video will show you all 3 of them. So the video will take, because you'll notice, this should be taking 2 to 3 minutes, okay? The video is probably 5 or 6 minutes. The reason it's longer is because it shows you all those components, okay? For those of you, the first 100 frequency words, kindergartners should know those first 25. However, there are some programs that are out there that do not teach just the first 25, or they have a different 25 words that they're teaching for sight words. Some people have said, what if we just teach what the curriculum's teaching? I would say support your teachers, okay? If your teachers don't have a program that they're using, I would go ahead and start doing the first 25. If you have kindergartners that can go beyond the 25, by all means, let them go beyond 25. This first 100 are actually intended for first grade students. You will also notice that you have 200, or the second, what's it called? The second 100 words?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's for second grade, then you have third grade and fourth grade. So those are the high frequency words they should be learning at that time. So here, these are videos. And it should have sound. I unplugged the speaker because of all that feedback, so let me plug that back in and see how that works. I'm telling you, if it weren't for technical issues, we wouldn't have any problems, right? That's the worst part of presenting. Speaker is still on. I'm hoping Alex is noticing that I'm having issues and will come up here in just a second. Settings, right? It's not playing anymore. Speakers are not playing nicely.
No. Suspicion.
Sounded like it just connected to that again, so let's try this again. See, Alex is paying attention.
So what's the issue? I'm not seeing our PowerPoint.
You're not seeing the PowerPoint?
Might be just because you're not on.
That is because we don't have sound at the moment.
Nope, still not.
Lovely.
And where is the HDMI port?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna switch
Suspicion.
You guys, we were smooth. We were going. Life is fine.
Have to go to the WebEx there.
This is.
Can you use your charger?
Yeah, it is. It's my computer.
It is.
Hey, thanks for noticing that. Of all the other things.
That's something I can actually fix.
Now try it.
It's loud enough to run really without the speaker, so if we take the speaker out, we can.
Actually, my university
It's nice, she's like right, it's right in the thick of it.
and Central Station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there. Wow.
You guys, I tried to be nice and get you an external speaker so you could hear the videos. It runs a lot smoother without them, I think.
Oh, we're gonna move on to our sight words. Okay, now last time when we were together, I had you practice these words, okay? We're gonna add a new one.
And that's working.
It was because it's so quiet, right?
That's okay. Thank you, Alex. You guys hear that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Paul, we're gonna move on to our sight words. Okay, now last time when we were together, I had you practice these words, okay? We're gonna add a new column today, and, oh, that's not gonna work. We are going to cover these so they're not gonna bother you. Actually, I'm gonna have you read out of my book, okay, honey? And as you're reading, I'm just gonna be making some notes so we know if we can add some of these words to your word bank, okay? Sight words are really important words because they're the words that glue sentences together. So it's important that we know them, and most of them we can't tap. We just have to know them by memory, okay? So let's practice those. I want you to start right there and read down for me.
The of and to in is you that it he was for on are as put his they I at be this have from or one had been words but no what all for we when you your can say.
Good job, kiddo. Okay, you self-corrected that one. So really the only one that tricked you was right here. What's that word?
By.
By. Should we add that word to our word bank? Okay, I'll write that on here for sight words. We're gonna add by to our word bank. So what I'm gonna have you do is write that on the whiteboard 5 times. You're gonna write B-Y and then you're gonna say it, okay? So go ahead and start.
B-Y, by. B-Y, by. B-Y, by. B-Y, by. B-Y, by.
Beautiful job. Okay, that was perfect. Let's go ahead and erase this. And now I'm gonna show you another game we can play.
So that's one of the
that will
games,
help us
right?
to remember how to spell and say the word by. Okay? So I have some random letters here, and I want you to pick out the 2 words that spell by, and I want you to bring them down in front of you. The 2 letters that spell by. Good. What's that letter?
B.
Good.
Y.
What does it spell?
By.
Good. Close your eyes. Okay. Do it again.
B. Y.
What does it say?
By.
Okay, close your eyes. Okay, go again.
B. Y.
What does it spell?
By.
Okay, close your eyes. Okay, go.
B. Y.
What does it spell?
By.
Okay, close them one more time. All right, Rockstar, go.
B. Y.
Spells. Nice job. Beautiful. Okay, and our last game that we can play is another writing game, okay? The point for this one is to see how many times you can write and say the word by in 1 minute. So if you're going to be writing a lot, are you going to write big or little?
Little.
Little. Okay, so you ready? You're going to go B-Y by as many times as you can. Go when you're ready.
B-Y, by. B-Y, by. B-Y, by. B-Y, by. B-Y, by. B. Y, Y, B, Y. What's your Y? There you go. B, Y, Y, B, Y, Y. Let's do lowercase b. It's okay, keep going. Y, Y, B, Y, Y, B, Y, Y, B, Y, Y. Nice job. All right. So those are the ways that we can practice the words that trick us and help get them in our brain more solid, okay? So let's check that off of our lesson plan that we have done our sight words, and we're gonna add the word by to our word bank. All right, so let's add the word by on a card, and we will put that in our word bank. Okay, so next time we'll practice the word by.
Do any of you think that little boy is ever gonna forget how to write that by? I agree. All right, so the one thing that I wanna make sure that you guys are doing too, if you ever catch students that are making mistakes, my son had a basketball coach that said perfect practice makes permanent, right? Don't allow them to keep making errors. You wanna stop them, especially in the word fluency part, to make sure that they're not continuing to say a word incorrectly. So if he kept saying bin, he thinks that word's been, right?
I was just gonna say on that word practice, for the word tiles, we just take a 3x5 card and then rip it into squares that we use, and then write the letters on there to practice mix up because it's faster.
That's awesome. I like that idea. Do any of you have other techniques that you would use?
I just wanna make sure I understand what you do, so you just have like.
So I take my 3x5 card and then just rip it up into tiles. And then just write, B, Y, and then if I wanna do other random letters on there, I can also, or I just use only those, like, whatever the word is, and just mix it up and have them arrange the tiles according to the words.
Instead of flipping through and finding the specific letters you need for that word, right?
Yeah, it's just
So
faster,
right there at
it's
your
easier.
fingertips. Joyce?
I have them write it on a whiteboard that's up,
Okay.
not down, so that they're getting it into their visual memory, so that it's being put into the visual memory.
Good. Okay.
Rather than the auditory, which is looking down.
Right. If you have a student that doesn't do really well at handwriting, what else can you do? You can do the magnetic letters, right? And you can do that on your whiteboard, so you can have them grab the B and the Y and put them down. So, or even cross midline, where you've got letters that are written on both sides and they have to continue to draw lines. So that's just something to think about too. Okay, with fluency, can I have somebody read the activities for fluency? It is on 45. Oh, we've got one back. Okay, go ahead.
Tutor models fluent reading of difficult sentences in the new book, and the student rereads the same sentences using the expression, accuracy, rate, and smoothness, or EARS. 2, student reads the daily grade level passage, a 1-minute timing. Then the tutor should ask the student to read from the new book if no passage is available. 3, student retells key points of the passage, and this is important comprehension work. Number 4, students color in the total words read,
Words correct per minute?
Yeah, correct per minute on the oral reading chart by subtracting errors from total words read.
Okay, who remembers what EARS stands for?
Expression, accuracy, rate, and smoothness.
Perfect. Okay, this is the oral reading words per minute chart that you will also see in the video. So are you guys ready?
I have a question.
Yes.
All right, so if you have a student that's at level G, but you have them reading at a level, J, G, H, and a level I in their reading book, then do we do the fluency timing at their current reading level or at their practice, their Dyad reading?
I would start with the Dyad and see if they can. And then depending on how much they struggle, right? You guys are adults, you're professionals, so how much they struggle, this is that component that works on their specific instructional level. So I would start them at the Dyad like that 2 or 3 levels above and see how they do. If they're extremely frustrated, tone it down a little bit, but try to still keep it above their grade level.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to our fluency, okay? And our fluency work, we're gonna use our book from today, and we're gonna also use a passage that you've never read before. So when we talk about fluency, Paul, when we talk about fluency, we're talking about how we read, okay? We talk about expression, which means, do you read like a robot, or are you reading like you would talk to somebody, where your voice goes up and down? It's kind of interesting to listen to. We're talking about accuracy. If you're accurate, that means you're reading what's on the page, okay? You're not making up words that aren't there. And we're talking about rate, which is how quickly you read, okay? And smoothness. Again, we don't want to be a robot. We want to speak smoothly when we read. Okay, so those are the things we're going to work on as we do our fluency. So I'm going to pick a page from our book, and we're going to practice our fluency, okay? All right, Paul. Let's just start right here at the beginning. So I get a turn, we'll read together, and then you get a turn. And we're going to practice all those things I talked about, okay? So I want you to follow with your eyes as I read. I'm going to start right here on robots. Ready? Robots are special machines. Usually, machines need a person to operate them, but robots are programmed to work on their own. Okay, read it with me. Ready? Go. Robots are special machines. Usually, machines need a person to operate them, but robots are programmed to work on their own. Your turn.
Robots are special machines. Usually machines need a person to operate them, but robots are programmed to work on their own.
Beautiful job. That was beautiful fluency work. Give me 5, Rockstar. Okay, now we're going to read a passage. Okay, this passage is called A Whale of a Tale. And this is something I'm going to time you for a minute when you read it. And we're going to see how many words correct you can read in a minute, okay? You have your copy and I have my copy, and I'm just going to mark anything that tricks you on my copy, okay? So what's our best reading posture? How do we sit? Like that, okay? I want you to follow along with your finger, and I will start the timer when you start your voice.
Whales are very large animals. The blue whale is the biggest animal that has ever lived on Earth. Blue whales are bigger than dinosaurs, but if you could put a blue whale on a scale, it might weigh 150 tons. As long as a 9-story building is high, whales are not for sale. You would not want one as a pet. Whales live in the sea. Blue whales can stay under the water for an hour. Then they come up for air. Blue whales are also the largest thing.
Nice job, kiddo. So animals. So this is 100, so we're going to count backwards. 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 92 words. And you only had 3 that tricked you. So we're going to subtract those. Okay? So you read 89 words correct per minute. Okay, so Paul, can you remember what some of the things were that you just read? What was the main idea of that passage?
That whales are the biggest animal.
They are the biggest animal. And do you remember how long they can be?
9-story buildings tall.
As long as a 9-story building is high. Excellent. Can you buy a whale?
No.
No, why can't you buy a whale?
Because they live in salt water.
They live in salt water, and do you think there'd be room in someone's house for a whale?
Mm-mm.
No, you'd have to have a special place, huh? So what kind of whales can stay under the water for an hour?
Blue whale.
Blue whales, you're awesome. Okay, so let's record your 89 words correct per minute on our chart. So let's put right here that today's date is the 23rd. Your passage is a level K. And it is, let's see, A Whale of a Tale, passage number 1. Your words correct per minute were 89. And your name is Paul. So what I'm going to do, kiddo, is have you go all the way up. You get a color from here, this line here, all the way down to there, just in that column, okay? And this is right here, sweetheart, where that line is. Yep, from there underneath. Okay, you can just bring it all the way down, okay? Beautiful. And you know what, Paul, this is going to be really cool when we get this filled out, because it's going to show us how quickly you're reading, okay? And we have goals that we want to reach when we read these passages, and I'll show you where your goal is, okay? Good coloring. So we'll put this aside. We'll look at your moving on up goal, okay? The moving on up chart's pretty cool. So, you read 89 words correct in a minute on a level K.
So that is
level K. How many words correct a minute are you supposed to read?
68.
So did you
don't think that one's in
do
here.
more than that?
But it is
Way
in your
more
red
than
folder.
that, right? So because we've done that before in a couple of other books, because you've reached that goal, next time when we read, we're going to move up to a level L. Is that pretty awesome? Okay, because you have to do it 3 times. And you have to hit that goal or higher, and you can move on up. And we've done that. So give me 5, Rockstar. We're gonna move up. Beautiful job. Okay, let's cross off on our lesson that we have done our fluency work, and we're gonna move on to word study. Okay?
Okay.
And then you're done. Good job.
So one thing I wanted you guys to notice is you have 2 to 3 minutes to work on frequency, high frequency words, and you have 2 to 3 minutes to work on fluency. That means you have 10 minutes left to do the word study. Okay, so what Sue is here to teach you is about the next steps at the University of Utah. The moving on up chart is not in your book, but it is in your folder, and we did add the Lexile levels in there so that you don't have to try to figure that out as well, okay? So Brian did that for me. Yes?
Are you recommending, because like on this it says a grade level passage, and it used to be that you would use like the moving up passages, what are you recommending now?
So a lot of people have the moving up passages and they're not willing to give them up, and I don't blame them because it already has, well, it has the numbers on there, right? So
Well, I
it's,
like that it's incremental too, and
Right.
it's like,
so a lot of people that have them, but they are no longer on our website, and somebody was going to email them to me because they had downloaded them on their computer, because I don't have them. I don't know who has them.
I have copies at our school.
Okay, do you have digital copies?
I don't know if I have a digital copy.
Okay, so if you have digital copies, send them back to me and I'll be happy to share them with the rest of you, right? If not, it's a matter of trying to count how many words there are per minute they've counted, okay? So I am now going to turn the time. Do you guys have any questions before we roll to Sue?
I'm just wondering,
So
why
I see the link on here.
why were all the videos that she made, like when I went to go do my tutor training, I went to go download all the videos, why were they all gone? And why are the moving on up paths, I mean, they've been there for years.
Right,
They're still there though.
some of them are still
So
there.
not all of them are? Like on the website, because there's a whole website with links. Like on your website, there's a link. They're not all there. I'm looking at it right now and it says levels D through.
She's like, no, I've got them. Awesome.
Like I got off your website and it says D through W and it has like a whole bunch for every reading level.
Yay. Then that sounds great.
We're
They've been
happy
put back. If I were you,
So download them.
Back on.
Download them while you can.
that's my point. I have gotten so many emails. They're off your website. Where are they? And I'm like, I don't know. So I've been looking for them. Because when you're on
Yeah.
some of the videos, they have to be ADA compliant. And so they were not ADA compliant, but in order to make them ADA, they had to be put to a YouTube, because YouTube will do the closed captioning. And so that's why some of the links are no longer working. And so it's a matter of trying to get the rights to get them back on the website, because they can't be on our website if they are not ADA compatible.
I do have PDFs of all the old fluency passages as well. Somebody who actually pulled them before they were taken off. So if you do need them, just let me know, and I can email them to you as well.
And then you have Brian, he knows it all. All right. Okay, so this is just one thing before we move to Sue.
Okay, the chart that she was using with the frequency, and it said, okay, this is where you scored, now next time we'll move you up. I don't see that in the packet of stuff. Is that
The moving
somewhere?
on up is not in there?
There's this one, hers was a little bit different from this.
Right, so the only difference is it's the same, except for we've added the Lexile levels on that one.
On page 43 standard.
Okay. Hello. It is, it's totally time. Okay. If you guys will take, well, actually, you're gonna still need your manuals, but if you wanna move your red folders and the building readers and the books kind of up towards the top of your table, because you're going to need your cards.
And you're going to need a partner, one partner.
Is there gonna be some more PowerPoint after this section is done?
Okay, I'm like, she's coming, I have to be Sue's partner.
Yeah, oh, got it.
Sue needs me to be her partner, so I am taking over your spot and she's coming over here. Yes. So you guys, this part that Sue's gonna be teaching you in a minute, I have to get it all down because this is the last training she's doing with me. So I'm over here taking copious notes as you guys are learning it all. So I can be like Sue one day.
Oh my gosh,
Here, sorry, I've got one.
I got it. I ripped it to shreds. Okay, so hello Beaver and Iron people, we're so glad that you're with us today. And you guys are really familiar with this. So what I want to tell you up front in Beaver and Iron is, this is Dr. Kathleen Brown, but you're familiar with early steps, next steps, and higher steps, which all come from the University of Utah. However, this piece for the tutoring program in both early steps and next steps has been altered just a little bit for the tutoring program. So if you're used to doing it one way, you may see just a couple of slight changes in this, not enough to make much difference, but just a little bit. So for those of you in the room, this is where your phonemic awareness and your phonics piece come in, because you don't have that in the dyad reading part, do you? So this is where that practice piece comes in that's so important. So the early steps, let me show you this. Per school, you'll get this today. Let me see if I can show them that on that. So these are all laminated on cardstock. All you have to do is cut them apart and put them together. So early steps are for K1, and next steps then are for 2, 3, and then higher steps are for 4, 5, and 6. And we're not doing anything with higher steps. And basically we work out of next steps, and that's the only thing I'm going to train on today. But if you go to the University of Utah website, you'll be able to see the training on that. So I'm just going to show you before we start how to set these up, because what it is when you open this up, it's just the cards that are laminated that you'll have to cut apart. And this looks intimidating, but it is not. So this is next steps. This whole file is next steps. And in here, and I'm going to show it underneath here, in here I just took file folders, cut them apart, and I've got, for example, these are all word sorts, and we're going to do the same 4 things with each word sort as we move back. So after they pass off one word sort, and there's a distinctive way they pass it off, then we're just going to move on to the next one. So it's real easy. You're gonna learn 4 things and that's it. And then you just do those same 4 things, and it works with vowel patterns and vowel sounds, and you just keep working through that. Today, we're gonna practice mixed short vowels. And then in here, you've got the cards, and in here we've got little packages. This one says mixed short vowels, and that's what you have on your desks between the two of you. That's what we're going to work with today. So, and I'll explain more about how to set this up in just a minute. I also want to show you this. This came from a friend of mine in Alpine District, and she took a binder, let's put it under there, and she used baseball cards on it. So in here, I'll show you guys in just a minute. We'll show Never Never Land first.
You can actually see.
Oh, you can see, okay, we're good. So in here then, this is all how you're gonna set this up. So this very first part up here is your mixed short vowels. And in here, then, this whole thing is in this very first little bag that says mixed short vowels. The next thing you're gonna set up is vowel patterns of A. That's right here. And I've got a divider here for it, and then here's my vowel patterns of A. So I'm just gonna work with those word sorts, doing the same 4 things that I did with the mixed short vowels. Make sense? So you're learning a process that you're gonna do with each word sort all the way through, all right? Okay, so look how cool this is. So here's her mixed short vowels, and she's just put a little piece of Velcro in here, and then here's the short A, short E, short I, short O, and short U, and then extra cards if she loses a card. And then she goes to core vowel patterns of A, and those are here. And it just continues on in. And then right here, she's just got a little bit of Velcro to be sure that it stays closed. So let me show these guys. It looks like this, and they're just the baseball card holders. And so instead of putting it in a Tupperware like this, it's all like this. And Alpine District has done this for most of their district, and it's so much easier because you can just put it on the shelf, tutor comes in, picks it up. So there's other ways to set this up if you don't have any money, which is frequently the case in this, right? A lot of people have just taken shoe boxes and they just label the shoe box mixed short vowels, and then they have all of these little bags of just the mixed short vowels, similar to what I've got in the shoe box. Then vowel patterns of A, and the boxes are just all on the shelf in there. And then a tutor can come in, and if that's where the child is on mixed short vowels, they just pull a bag and start. Okay? Questions before I go any farther? Another way is at Walmart, they have those Sterilite things that are like this, and they're kind of in a little pull-out box, almost like a drawer. You can also do those, and those are stackable, and you can stack those. So just a way to make it easy for tutors so they can come in and pull what they want. You're only gonna get 1 set of these today, and you're really gonna need about 5 or 6 sets, sometimes more. It just depends on how many tutors you are gonna be working with. So any questions on that? Okay, would you please turn in your manuals then to, it's called Word Study, and it is on page 55. And I'm gonna put us under here so they can see. And then Jamie is gonna read. And I want you then to come down to activities where it says 6.1. And I just want you to follow along for a minute, and then we'll set up your cards after we've read through.
Number 1, tutor places the bold anchor words from the sort in the correct order. Tutor tells the student the vowel pattern, vowel sound in each anchor word. Tutor hands the student a card and asks the student, where does it go? Student places the card under the column for the matching vowel pattern. Tutor asks the student to point to the words in each column and read them. Student points to each word and reads down that column every time a new word is added. And number 5, so you're going to be doing a 4x4 grid, which Sue will show you in a minute. But the tutor asks the students, what is the vowel pattern? Student points to each vowel pattern and reads down the column. Example A, consonant, as in hat. Tutor asks the student, what is the vowel sound? Student points to each vowel sound and reads down the column.
Okay, so look at this, I think you can see it. What I want you to do right now is just set out your anchor, your bold anchor words only. So they're on the top of your things, and it should look like this. It should say hat, pig, mom, red. And then you're not gonna set out any other cards, you're gonna keep them in piles. So just set those out and leave plenty of room under them because you're going to be building a 16 card matrix underneath it. So I'll give you just a few minutes, just maybe like 30 seconds to set that up. Okay, let's move on. So you should have your anchor, bold anchor words up here, and I want to talk to you about those now for a minute. Those are the short vowel sounds. Do you notice one that we're missing? Which one are we missing? You. And the reason that isn't there is because we're working with 4 at a time. And when we finish and get the A pattern learned, the short A pattern learned, we'll swap that out and we'll put in the U. Okay? So now we're just working with 4. What else do you notice? We learned in school A, E, I, O, U. What else do you notice about the pattern in those bold anchor words?
They're mixed up.
They're mixed up, and let me tell you why, and this came from Dr. Brown at the University of Utah. We work with so many children throughout the state who speak Spanish, and in Spanish, the I and the E sound so similar that when she put this together, she felt like that was a really good idea to separate those so that they weren't getting confused with that I and E sound. Okay, so now the next thing you're gonna do, this is all just sorting sounds, and we're working with 2 things. We're working with vowel pattern and vowel sound. So I'm going to say to Jamie, and this is your number 1, follow along with me on that activities thing again that she just read to you. So go back to your activities, and it says tutor places the bold anchor words from the sort in the correct order, and we've got that done, right? Everybody got it? All right, then number 2, tutor tells the student the vowel pattern and the vowel sound in each anchor word. So Jamie, this is the word hat. What's the word?
Hat.
The vowel pattern is A consonant. What's the vowel pattern?
A consonant.
The vowel sound is A. What's the vowel sound?
A.
Good. This is the word pig. The vowel pattern, what's the word?
Pig.
The vowel pattern is I consonant. What's the vowel pattern?
I consonant.
The vowel sound is I. What's the vowel sound?
I.
This is the word mom. What's the word?
Mom.
The vowel pattern is O consonant. What's the vowel pattern?
O consonant.
And the vowel sound is ah.
Ah.
Good. This is the word red. What's the word?
Red.
The vowel pattern is E consonant. What's the vowel pattern?
E consonant.
And the vowel sound is eh.
Eh.
Good. All right, now we're going to work with these in a sort, and notice we've got short A, short I, short O, and short E, And I'm going to hand you a card, and I want you to match in the column where that goes. So if it's an A consonant, would it go here?
Yes.
If it's an O consonant, point to me where it would go.
Right there.
Good. If it's an I consonant, where is it gonna go?
Right there.
Good. And if it's an E consonant, where's it gonna go?
There.
Good. All right, now watch what I'm gonna do. I'm taking all of my short A words and I'm just gonna put them in between my fingers because they're easier than picking it up off the desk. These are the short I's and they're gonna go here, and there's no particular order, I'm just mixing them up. They're just gonna be in my fingers so I can pull from them. So decide who's gonna be the tutor and who's gonna be the child, and whoever's the tutor, put them in your hands. So you're ready to go. Yeah, so on the screen, on the screen, there you go.
The vowel pattern is.
There. They were like that was giving me the card.
Okay, next step.
And then what's the next question?
All right, next step, I want you to look in your booklet and it says, number 3, I'm on 3 on your activities. Tutor hands the student a card and asks the student, where does it go? Student places the card under the column with the matching vowel pattern. So I'm not putting it in her hand, it takes too much time. I'm placing it on the desk and I'm gonna say to her, what? What do I say? Where does it go? All right, here we go. Where does it go? Okay, now the next step, look at number 4, and number 4 says, tutor asks the student to point to the words in each column and read them. So now she's placed it, and every time she places a new card, I'll have her come right to the top and point to the word and say, red band. So as soon as she places a card here, she'll start at the top and say pig and whatever else. So 2 prompts, where does it go, point and read. What are the 2 prompts? Where does it go, point and read. All right, watch her for a minute more and then you're gonna do it with her, or with your buddy. Okay, where does it go? Point and read.
Hat, mad.
Where does it go? Point and read.
Pig, kid.
Good. Where does it go? Okay, good job. I wanted her to do this and I didn't even tell her that. So what if they place it in the wrong spot? There's a couple of ways we correct on this. First of all, we look at vowel pattern, then we look at vowel sound, and we're going to learn tapping. So if you'll look in your red folder in the center section, that's all your early steps, next steps material. So look in your center section, and I want you to pull out, it's right behind your first thing that says Partners in Dyad Reading, Phonics, Rationale, and it's this one right behind that, and it says Mix Short Vowel Work, 2-dot words. Pull that out for a minute, and I want you to turn to the second page in it, and it shows you tapping. Do you see the little finger signs? For very young children, this tapping works very well. When you get maybe to a 3rd grader, it might seem babyish to them, but for a kindergarten, 1st grader, 2nd grader, this works really well because it's tactile and the sounds are on the ends of their fingers. So if I'm tapping the word, so the way it is put your right hand up and your thumb is home base, and every runner, your fingers are runners, and every runner has a sound on the end of it and they have to touch home base. So watch cat. If I'm doing cat, and I'm gonna do it under here so that they can see. Oh, she's got it, good. All right, so if I'm doing cat, I'm gonna do it with me. What's the first sound of cat? Second sound? At. Third sound? And then you're gonna blend the word together, pull it together, and you are going to say cat, right? All right, do hat. At, hat. Good, do pig. 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 The research on this is huge. It is so beneficial for very young kids. I've also seen schools who've done it on their arms rather than using fingers, so that it's like you would read the word on a page. So you would go at, hat, and you just put it on your arm. And it's how you would read it, okay? So what if I'm tapping the word phone? Think about that now. Think about it. How are we gonna do phone? Right? Because it's a PH sound, it's one sound, so it's O, Am I gonna tap the E? No, because it's silent, right? So it's O, phone, all right? So we're correcting when they make a mistake with vowel pattern, vowel sound, and tapping. So I want you to look right here. So Jamie's made a mistake, and I want to talk as little as possible. I want her to try to figure out what her mistake is. So here are my prompts. First of all, let's tap that word, Jamie.
Snack.
Okay. Right here, I want you to tap it again, and I'm gonna grab your finger right there when you tap that. Ah, right there. How do I spell that ah sound?
With an A.
With an A, right? All right, look at your bold anchor word. What is your short sound here?
Ah.
Right, or O, So are you correct here with this, or should you move that somewhere?
I'm gonna move that over here.
Okay, good. And then when she gets it correct, you're gonna have her go back and read down the column again. So point and read.
Hat, mad, snack.
Good. All right, now I'm gonna give her one more and then I'm gonna turn you loose on it, but we'll talk it through as you're doing it so that you don't get lost. Where does it go? Good, point and read.
Red, bend, web.
Right, now I'm talking a lot today because I'm trying to teach her this, and when you're working with children, the first couple of times you do this, 3 or 4 times, you are gonna have to talk a lot until they get onto it. After a while, it's gonna irritate them. What do you say? Where does it go? Point and read, right? Yeah. So you'll get to the point where you just place a card on the table and they know that they've got to put that under the correct column matched by the vowel pattern and vowel sound. And they'll know that you don't have to say point and read. So as a tutor, the less talk on this, the better, because you've got to move fast on this. You've got 10 minutes and we've got 4 activities to get through in 10 minutes, so we got to move. Okay, so talk with me. Here we go. And I want tutors to talk with me. Children are talking when it's their turn. So here we go. Point to your first word. Talk with me. This is the word hat. Everybody. This is the word hat. And then to your child. What's the word?
What's the word?
And the child's saying?
Hat.
Good. The vowel pattern is a consonant. What's the vowel pattern?
A consonant.
The vowel sound is a. What's the vowel sound? Good. All right, go ahead and finish out. You know what you're doing. This is the word. This is the vowel pattern. This is the vowel sound. Those are your 3 prompts. And then you have the child repeat after you on each one. Okay, so I'm gonna hush and come and watch you do it. So go ahead. You've only got 30 seconds to teach them that part, and then we'll go from there.
So,
This is the word. Hey, what's the word?
It says, the I says it.
The vowel pattern is I, G. What's the vowel pattern?
A consonant.
What's the vowel sound?
And then what's the vowel, and the vowel sound
Did
is
I have to say, I should have said the vowel sound.
the vowel sound. Good. This is the word pig. What's the word? The vowel pattern is I consonant. Vowel pattern. The vowel sound is I. What's the vowel sound?
For some reason,
Good.
I should have gone through Yes.
Okay, so leave it that way.
Oh, the vowel pattern is yeah.
As a
consonant.
The vowel pattern. This is the word G. The vowel pattern is I, G. What's the vowel pattern? The sound of the vowel is I.
Okay, give me 5.
So O consonant, consonant. What is their sound?
Thank you very much. I'm gonna have you working and back with me. We don't want it to take a really long time. So if you hear, give me 5, put your hand up and let's move on so we don't belabor this. All right, so now what you're gonna do, you have taught them the anchor words. Now you're going to put a card down on the table and say, where does it go? They'll place the card in the column, and then what's your next prompt? Point and read, okay? All right, I'm timing you. You've got 2 minutes to build a 16 card matrix. If you're a child, be sure that you put one of the cards in a wrong column so that they can work with correcting you. 2 minutes, ready? Oh, my timer finally died after all these years. Really? It's been going for like 10 years.
Where does it go?
point and read.
Point and read.
Where does it go?
Where does it go? Point and read.
Where does it go?
Oh, sorry, yeah, right.
Point and read.
Where does it go? Oh,
The third one is optional. Where does it go?
We're still getting it. I already said the vowel practice and reading.
Oh, point.
Point, because we want them, when they point,
What is
we
the
want them to go
vowel
through the vowel sounds. Because that's what we're trying to learn. It's really important that it's hands-on.
This word,
It needs to happen. Okay.
Where does it go?
Okay.
Point and read.
Okay, very good.
that again, and then hold your
Yeah, okay, after.
Okay.
Tap with their fingers.
what's that vowel sound?
It's the 16-card matrix, but you only have about 30 seconds left.
Where does it go?
So where would this?
And I'm gonna stop you on the vowel sound,
Let's
so.
do.
So,
does this go? Move the face. So let's go.
Where does it go?
Okay, no, do it again.
And so where could you read?
Okay, so where's
So that was right.
where's this crop point?
Nice job.
Okay. So box. So let's do it this. Let's say you do it here.
22
Okay,
seconds.
let's do tap. Where does it go?
Where does this go?
Okay.
I do this.
Now I missed it.
Tap to support.
I know this again.
Right.
Okay, give me 5.
Now let's do this.
Give me 5. Okay, let's move on. Now, the next thing we're going to do is look down at number 5 on your activities, because we've built our matrix, it's all correct. And we're looking at 5 and it says, what is the vowel pattern? Student points to each vowel pattern and reads down the columns. So what Jamie is going to do is say, the vowel pattern is a consonant. Why can't I just say vowel consonant? Why do I have to say a consonant? Why?
So they're not busy looking for the vowel if they don't know exactly which letter is the vowel?
Yes. Yeah, we're talking about a specific vowel, aren't we? Not just any vowel, we're talking about a. And it's really important, I was telling these ladies over there, it's really important that they have their fingers in it, and when they're pointing to the word, they're pointing to the vowel, because that's what we're trying to learn. So Jamie's gonna go down here quickly, and she's going to say a consonant, a consonant, a consonant, consonant, which is the same thing. This is called a closed syllable because it's a vowel followed by at least one consonant or more, and then a consonant. The next thing she's gonna do is I'm gonna say, what's the vowel sound? And she's gonna say, ah, 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 ah. Now, if you've got a child that you've worked with quite a bit on this and they already know this, you don't need to have them do that whole matrix. All they need to do is go across the top and say, a consonant says ah, I consonant says I, O consonant says ah, and E consonant says eh. If they're struggling, go through the whole thing and go down each column. Otherwise, just go across the top. Make sense? All right, so let's do 5 and 6 really quickly. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds for each, so have them point to the vowel pattern and say a consonant, a consonant, a consonant, consonant, go on down, go ahead, 30 seconds.
Okay, let's
The vowel pattern?
start with the vowel consonant. So, U consonant.
What is the vowel pattern? O consonant.
And now go down the row
Vowel
and
sound?
say.
What is the vowel
Vowel consonant.
Then you have to
sound.
put down, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Or correct.
Vowel sound?
This is
U consonant,
That sound?
U consonant,
That vowel sound?
U consonant.
good.
Okay,
It's good.
now let's do
Now you try.
I consonant. It
And
says
tell
it.
me.
Good.
And then what is
What's
this? What is the
Okay, give me 5,
I consonant,
give me 5.
I consonant, it. I consonant,
All right. Who's talking right now? You or the child? The child should be talking. Tutor as much quiet as you can. It's the child we want talking through this, okay? All right, now next step is, and I hope I've got time, I'm gonna hurry really fast. Maybe I might come back to it. I was gonna switch and have the other person be the tutor, but we've gotta be through by noon. So I'm gonna roll on this. So just pretend that we switched, because we're not gonna have time. Are there questions on this before I move on? Any questions? All right, so then I want you to turn to the next piece, which is called Fast Pencil. And this is quick and easy, it takes maybe 20 seconds. And it is on page 59. And so I'm going to do one thing that isn't in the book, and I want you to write it in so that you remember, because it's really fun for children. Leave your cards out, you're gonna need them, don't put them away. If you're all one of these clean people, hurry and put them back, because we're gonna need them. Okay, in the book it says that the tutor points to 5 or 6 of the words and has the child read them. What I didn't put in there when I wrote this was that the child then should be able to point to the words and have the tutor read them, and kids love to have that happen. So you're gonna switch that off. So just write that in your notes, that the tutor points to 5 or 6 words and the child reads, and then the child points and has the tutor read. So here we go. Jamie, ready?
Kid, this, bin, web, snack.
Good job. When you point to these, if they had a problem with something, like remember snack she struggled with, be sure that that's one of the words that you're pointing to. If you can get through all the words in just a short amount of time, go ahead and point to all of them. Now it's Jamie's turn. Red, pop, this, kid, lost, chop, web, bend. Okay, fast pencil. Go ahead and do it with them, 30 seconds.
All right, point, right? So I'm gonna point, we're gonna say the word.
Each word aloud.
Okay.
You're just pointing.
That's it.
Okay, switch so the child's doing it now.
Fox, lead, hit.
I would think.
I point.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, I read, oh,
I wonder I'll go back to Wendy or A-E-I-O-U and vowels. All the
Okay, give me 5.
Then I would.
All right, that's fast pencil, super easy. Turn to your next step. That is on page 61. And this is a memory game. Now, on memory, I want you to use that if you're new to this, if you haven't done next steps for a long time, use memory for quite a while. But in here, there are some other games in here that are really fun to play that you can substitute in for this memory part. When the kids get sick of it, there's 3 or 4 other games that you can substitute that are super fun. But start out with memory. Now, if I were to do memory with all of these cards, what would happen? It would take forever. So you're only going to play with about 4, maybe 6 cards. Today, we're just gonna play with 4. So pick out, Jamie's gonna play with 6. Jamie has a mind of her own, we're gonna play with 6. Okay, so pick out 2 of each matching pattern. So you'll have 3 matching patterns turned over and mixed up.
And maybe upside down.
Yeah, well, Jamie does a good job of that. Okay. So you're just playing memory. So pick out 2 cards that match. So pick out 2 short E's and 2 short O's and 2 short I's. And then turn them over and put them in the matrix like Jamie's got on the screen. Okay, now, let me tell you a quick story. When I was tutoring a little girl in 2nd grade at Guadalupe, she was from Mexico, and when she came over, she didn't have any English at all, very little English. And so I was working with her in order to get certified in this Next Fix program, and it takes a year to get certified in that. So the point on this is to lose convincingly every time as a tutor. And so it was clear until about March, and in about March, she said to me, I won. I didn't mean to win. I wasn't paying close attention and I won. And she said, "Oh, Mrs. Okra, you won. Are you so excited?" And I thought, no, I didn't mean to win. So on this, you want to be sure that you are losing every time as much as possible, unless you have a really competitive kid that you're working with. And they get up, if they catch on to it, then you can't do it that way. But this is what then you're gonna say to them. So you're playing with either 4 or 6 cards. And what she's looking for now are 2 matching vowel sounds, vowel patterns. Okay, so turn it over. And I'm just gonna say to her, is it a match when she gets them turned over? Is it a match?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then the next wording is, ready? Justify that, please. And these kids love saying that. Justify that, please. So in other words, she's gonna tell me why it's a match. Why is it a match, Jamie?
O consonant, consonant, O consonant.
Good. And what sound does it make?
Ah.
Okay, and since you got a match, you get another turn. Go ahead. Read it when you turn it over.
Oh, snack with.
Is it a match?
No.
Oh dear, my turn. Okay, now watch me try to not get this right, okay? We'll see how well I paid attention. Oh, that's good. Okay, my 2 words are cat and with. So you're gonna say to me, is it a match?
Is it a match?
Nope. Then it's your turn.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm on it.
all right. Read it.
This
Uh-huh.
with.
Is it a
hard
match?
Yes.
Justify that, please.
If.
Good. All right, and you get another turn. Read it.
Snack, cat.
Is it a match?
Yes.
Justify that, please.
Ah.
Good, perfect. All right, play with your buddy. You've got about 1 minute to do it in. Make sure you leave me. Each different pattern.
That's what I did with my kids. I take them and then at the end I tell them they try to pick how many they got the day before. So I kind of make some fun of it.
Is it a match? All right, justify that. Same vowel.
Here's another turn. Then you get to go get all move it up right.
I thought I made that match. No, you go. Let's move to that. Is that a match? Go? Yeah. We did. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Yes. Good job. I have to get good enough at this that I can computer something.
Really, really good.
You get to go again.
So where do you want to go?
Is that match? Yes.
Or it's just pictures.
Okay, give me 5.
So.
How many of you heard justify that, please? Did they say it? All right, turn to your last piece, which is spelling. And you're going to pick out, well, you don't need to, because you're just gonna stay with Jamie here. And I'm going to pick out 4 cards for Jamie. Get your, in the middle of your red folder, there's a white 3x5 card. Pull that out and number to 4. And in your manual, turn to page 63. And Jamie is gonna read just number 1.
Tutor selects 4 or 5 words from the current word sort. Tutor states the word, uses it in a sentence, and asks the student to repeat the word and then write the word.
Okay, so I've selected 4, and I should have selected snack because she missed that one. So anything they're struggling with, be sure you put it in their spelling. You've numbered to 4. First thing I'm going to do is say the word to her, state the word, use it in a sentence, and then ask the tutor the word. And then she's going to write it. Now, for younger children, this is the greatest thing ever. It's called talk to your pencil. And so as they are, you probably heard that. Have you heard the terminology before? So as they're writing the word, they talk to their pencil and they write the word, or they say, they say the letter that they're writing. So if I'm writing hat, as I'm writing it, I'm saying H-A-T. Now, if she makes a mistake in this, I'm going to correct her the same way with vowel pattern, vowel sound, and tapping. So if she writes something wrong, I'm gonna have her either tap it out or I'm gonna talk to her about pattern and vowel sound. Okay, here we go. Job. I love my retirement job. What's the word?
Job.
Perfect. All right, write it down. Go ahead and write job then, and talk to your pencil while you're writing it. Yeah, and don't do the sounds, do the actual letters, because we're spelling. So say J-O-B as you're writing. Okay?
That's my plan.
All right, next word, tell. Will you tell me a story? What's the word?
Tell.
Perfect. Talk to your pencil and write it.
T-E-L.
Oh, take a look at that. You've got the vowel sound right, you've got an F, you've got the beginning sound right, T, but on the end sound, and it could say tell, like in telephone, that's only one L, but in this particular word, we need two L's. Put another L.
Okay.
And where I want to correct is right when she makes the mistake, so that when she finishes, she gets 100%. So correct before they go on. Next word, win.
W.
Listen to me.
Just kidding.
Did you win the soccer game last night? What's the word?
Win.
Good, talk to your pencil.
W-I-N.
Good. And that's correct, and we're moving on to the last word. It's cat. I have a black cat. What's the word?
Cat.
Good. Talk to your pencil and write it.
C-A-T.
Okay, now I want you to look back in your manual. You've got your 4 words written in your manual. Look at number 3, and it says say it, match it, check it. So I'm going to take my 4 cards in no particular order, and I'm going to hand her a card, and she'll place it above the spelling word. And she'll say it. What is it?
Win.
Win, and match it simply means that she's going to go W-W-I-I-N-N. And check it means that it's correct, and she's just going to put a check mark by it. Okay? So here it is. Put it above the word. Say it.
Cat.
Match it.
C-C-A-A-T-T.
And check it. And be sure that when they're matching it, they're always coming from the card down to the word, so that they're coming from the correct to theirs. All right, go ahead. You get the pattern. Go ahead. Well, you can't. I've got the cards. So you're good, right? Okay, now, here's the next thing that's super important. So we've worked with mixed vowel or mixed short sounds for quite a long time, and they've got it really well. And the trick to this is to keep moving them. It's like in dyad reading. To get them to read faster and better, you just keep moving. It's the same way here. So as soon as you can see that they're not making a lot of mistakes, you're going to do what's called a study check. And I want you to look in the very back of your manual. It's on page 83, and it's called Next Steps Word Study Check. Okay. So all I'm going to do is count out randomly 40 cards, but I'm going to include every one of the vowel patterns, even the short U that we haven't worked with much today. And remember that short U sound, we're going to swap out the A's eventually and practice the U's too, so we have all 5 sounds. So in this, then, I'll select from all of those cards, and I'll select 40 cards, and on this day, it's called a cold read. So you won't do any of these 4 activities that I've been showing you on the day that you do a word study check, because you don't want to practice and practice and practice and then give them a test. you've practiced before and you wanna see, okay, have they got it? So on that day that I'm gonna do a word study check, they just come in, we do dyad reading clear up to this point, and then I set out 40 randomized cards. And on this, I set the timer for 1 minute, and I'm going to flash these cards to Jamie. If she makes a mistake, I don't go back and say tapping, vowel pattern, vowel sound. All I do is state the word correctly and put it in another column. In order to pass off this first word sort, she needs to get 35 words correct and no more than 3 errors. So I'm a little bit loosey-goosey on this, and hopefully Dr. Brown doesn't hear that ever. But if they've got maybe 4 errors and they're doing a really good job, I would go ahead and move. I'm not gonna be, steadfast on this. If they're close to 35 correct, if they've probably got 34, 33, then I'm gonna go ahead and move them out of that word sort onto the next one. If they're below like 31, I wouldn't do it, because obviously they don't have it. If they've got 5 errors, I would really think heavily about not doing it because they don't have it yet. All right, so watch what she's doing here. Here we go. And I'm gonna set my timer for 1 minute. And here's the other thing on this. This is another place where I'm a little loosey-goosey, is when you're working with children that you're trying to improve their reading, you have slow, pokey children like you have slow, pokey adults that just move slowly, right? And so they may have this learned really well, but to be able to do it in 1 minute might be a little tricky. If they can do it in 1 minute and 5 seconds or 1 minute and 8 seconds, I would say we're good to go, right? If it's taking them 1 minute and 30 seconds, I would probably think twice about it because it means they really don't have it, okay? But I don't think you have to be absolutely, perfectly by the book on it. You know the child, you've worked with the child, you'll know what to do. Okay, so Jamie, here we go, 1 minute. Whoops. Okay.
Bend, clap, less, wet,
Web,
web, chop, mad, win, lost, lip, his, job, tell, cost, kid, cut, cat, win, hop.
okay, good. And then we'd count the cards and see how she did. If she got 35 correct or close to it, pretty close to it, we move on to the next word sort. So in here, we're in the binder. Once they've passed it off, then you're gonna move on to vowel patterns of A, and you're going to set it up exactly the same way. They have a bold anchor word on the top. And if you're thinking, well, gosh, I don't remember what vowel patterns of A are, and my tutors certainly aren't gonna be able to think of what all vowel patterns of A are, we put you in all kinds of cheat sheets. So I want you to look in your back again, and I'm gonna show you cheat sheets. So be sure you get your stickies out, because you're not gonna wanna forget where these are. So go first of all to page 72. And on 72, those are just individual letter sounds. And so if you're working with very young children, kindergarten children, that's a good page to just be sure that they've got all of those letter names, letter sounds learned. Then look at page 73. And there are your vowel patterns and all of your vowel sounds. So take a look at that. It says core vowel patterns of A. And notice everything is listed right there for your core vowel patterns of A, which is what is in this bag. All right, then you'd move on to core vowel patterns of I. After they pass off vowel patterns of A, then you're gonna move to vowel patterns of I. And that lists all your vowel patterns right there for tutors with an example. So when the tutor comes in and says, oh my gosh, what in the world are the vowel patterns of I? Here's your cheat sheet. And so in your tutoring areas, I would print these off and put them big right on the wall so they don't have to be searching for these and they can find that cheat sheet easily. Then I want you to flip over to the next page, and UURC stands for University of Utah Reading Clinic. All of these came from Dr. Brown. And if you look here, then it gives you short vowel sounds, long vowel sounds, digraphs, blends, all of those are listed for you so that if that terminology, they don't understand that terminology when you're doing a training, you can go through this a little bit so that they know what you're talking about. I did a training for some grandparents in Ogden, and I was using the word consonant. So if it isn't a vowel, it's a consonant, right? But there were a lot of people who didn't understand that terminology. So you've got to be sure of your audience and explain terminology to them so that they're not lost on it. Now turn with me again. So this is on page 75. This is the early steps, how you would set up the early steps binder, or however your Tupperware, however you want to set that up. And then go with me again. Here's the early steps word study check. That's on page 78, and that's a little bit different. Remember, early steps is kindergarten first. It is not timed like next steps. It isn't a 1-minute timing. You still select 40 cards. You flash the cards from the deck, and the student needs to get 8 or fewer errors to proceed on to the next thing. And it's not timed in K1. Now, sticky this next page, because this is the one right here that shows you how to set up your binder. These are your different sections that you're going to put your things, and each divided section here is your bag for each one of those. So that needs a big sticky by it. And if you're looking for these cards to print them off, because you're only going to get one set of these cards are on the USBE Dyad Reading website. So you can print them off. Just a caution to you on that is if you print off all those cards at once and you cut them all up at once, you're going to tear your hair out because you will be lost as to what goes where. So my suggestion to you is take the mixed short vowels that we worked with today, just print that much off, laminate them, put them on cardstock. People always say, well, I just did it on type paper and they're all shredded and we've only worked with them for 2 months and they're ripped and torn and shredded. It's going to take a little bit more money, but do it right in the first place. So put it on cardstock, laminate it, just do your mixed short vowels and get those cut. It's a lot to start with, and you'll start every child, no matter what, on mixed short vowels just to be sure that they've got it, that there's no holes. You'll know really fast if they've got it. And if you think they do, do one of those study checks on them where you flash 40 words, and if they've got it, move them right on to vowel patterns of A. If they've got that, move them right on to vowel patterns of I. Just keep going until you can figure out where it is that they need to practice, okay? What else? Anything you're wondering about? So on the website then are all these cards, and you're just going to print off a section at a time. And if you have all of your kids in mixed short vowels that you're working with, all you have to do is stay ahead of your fastest child. So print these off, the mixed short vowels, and then if you've got a child that's heading into vowel patterns of A, print those off, and that's your next thing you're going to do.
Can I just make one
Yes.
suggestion?
Sure.
Because you get a lot of cards and they all get mixed up. So my recommendation is to take this page right here that she's got and cut off that piece and then tape it across the front of it, so that way the tutors have both, they know they know the vowels, but it's just easier for them to look and see where they are, and then they know exactly what bag things go in with.
That is superb.
So just like
That
tape
is
it on the
so good.
outside of the
I
bag.
tape it on the
Yeah, so
outside,
what
just use
she's-
like a 2-inch piece of tape and put it across the top so it can't come undone. It just helps to
That's
put it back
so
in the right
good.
bags, and it makes it a lot easier.
So what she's saying is take this right here when you're doing the mixed short vowels, print this page off on cardstock, and then cut this piece right here and put it on your mixed short vowel thing. And then the tutors can look and see, oh, okay, I've got this. I know everything's in the bag. I know it's the way it should be.
And
There are
this-
other suggestions of people who've worked with it, sure.
I usually just do like a little color coded dot on the back of the card. All the pink ones go in one group, all the blues go in another group. That way if they get separated, they're easy to say, oh, that goes back to that.
Right, right. And you probably wondered what one dot on the card means and two dots and three dots. And if you look in the middle of your, let's just pull those papers out of your middle section of your red folder and take a look at those quickly so that you know. So the first thing is that phonics rationale, and that is basically dealing with the early steps piece. And then behind that, and just a basic overview of the next steps and early steps program. It has mostly early steps in that. Then this piece was what we were working with today, and I would suggest that you work with your tutors, give them a copy of this, have them read through it before you discuss it with them, so they have kind of a frame of reference. And then the next thing you have is 1.2.3. words. And it tells you that 1. words are onset and vowel words, and 2. words are the mixed short vowels that we were working with today. And if you see 3 dots at the bottom of the card, those are the core vowel patterns. And I noticed today when I was looking at this that there's a typo on that. It says the 3 do words. So we've got to get that fixed. All right, and then this is what this lady was talking about right here. Here's a copy of this that's in your booklet on is the inventory and sequence of next steps. So it's where you're gonna move next and how to set up your file. And then I showed you that individual letter sound and score. And then you also have the next steps word study check. That was on page 83, okay? Questions on anything dealing with next
So when
steps?
you refer to it's on the website, we could make copies, is it the U of U website or the USBE website?
The USBE website has the cards. The videos, I don't think you've got up yet that we used today. Are those up or not?
I just got them yesterday and put them in the PowerPoint, so I'm working on it.
Okay, so it will be there. Here's my caution to you. On the University of Utah website, the videos you're going to see are not what was set up for the state. You will see it taught a little bit differently than what I taught you today because we set this up for the tutoring program. So you'll get a good flavor of how it should look, but it isn't quite the way we set it up for this. So Jamie will have it there. The word cards are there and it's listed under next steps and it says next steps word study cards and that's all there. And it also sounds like the fluency passages are there too, which will really help you. Other questions that you might have? Brian, any questions from out there? All right,
And
thank
then
you.
my business card is in your red folders. If you guys, some people want a copy of the PowerPoint. If you want a copy of the PowerPoint, just email me and I will send it on to you. Okay?
Right.
Thanks, you guys. I know we went over 15 minutes and I apologize. But also make sure you're checking your emails because Brian will be putting out that accountability piece. And it just lets me know what's working and not working.
Thank you very
Okay?
much.
Thanks, you guys. Oh, and then Brian also is over there to give you your next steps and early steps.
Yep, if you wanna pick up the next steps, early steps, we have these here, as well as extra copies of those.